how can one thing be three things at the exact same time? It really sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? But for Christianity, it's a central belief. One God existing as three distinct persons. It seems like it defies all logic, but today we're going to unpack this incredible mystery. So here it is, the core problem, right on the screen. One God equals three persons. On the surface, that looks like a flat-out contradiction. So how on earth does this belief even hold together? All right, let's treat this like what it seems to be, a theological puzzle. A real head-scratcher. But the key to solving it, well, it might not be buried in some ancient, dusty text. It might be somewhere much, much closer to home. Let's just put it plainly. The Christian faith is monotheistic, meaning it insists on one God. But then you constantly hear about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that just sounds like three, not one. If that's confusing to you, believe me, you are not alone. It's a question that's been debated for centuries. But what if the answer has been with us this whole time? And this is what brings us to this really fascinating idea of a blueprint that's actually inside of you. The entire proposition we're exploring today is this. To understand the divine, we first have to look inside ourselves. You see, this whole analogy, it hinges on this one foundational concept from the book of Genesis, that humans were made in God's image. Now, if that's true, then our own nature should, in some way, reflect the nature of God. So let's do that. Let's actually deconstruct what it means to be a person. Just think about yourself for a minute. On one hand, you have your body, and it kind of has a life of its own, right? It tells your mind when it's hungry or tired. It acts on its own, like when you instinctively pull your hand away from something hot. Then, on the other hand, you have your spirit. That's your consciousness, your inner voice. Many traditions believe this is the part of you that endures, the part that can exist separately. So we've got these two distinct things going on, the body and the spirit. And yet, in life, they are perfectly fused together. I mean, nobody sees you as two separate things walking around. They see you as one single integrated person. But the story doesn't end there. Because the interaction between these two parts, it actually gives rise to a third part. And this creates, you guessed it, three parts in one person. A kind of human trinity, if you will. So here's how that works. You've got the body with its own life and its own drives. Then you've got the spirit with its own life and consciousness. Now, when they're fused, they are constantly interacting, that tension between a physical craving and a conscious thought. And from that very relationship, something new emerges, a third entity, the soul. It's the unique essence of who you are. And so there you have it, three distinct parts, body, spirit, and soul. Each has its own focus, its own drives, yet they all operate as part of one single person. You are, in essence, a trinity, and this is the absolute key. Despite having these three distinct interacting parts, you aren't three people. You are one person. The body, the spirit, and the soul all combine to make up that singular identity that is you. Okay, now that we have this human model, let's take it and see what happens when we apply it as a divine parallel, when we scale it up from us to God, and there it is. The structure is identical. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are three distinct persons, all perfectly integrated into one single being. You see, it's not three gods. It is one God, composed of three persons. Now, an analogy is just an analogy, so there is a limit. The key difference here is that the persons of God can act even more autonomously, more independently and separately than our own body, spirit, and soul ever could, all while still remaining one perfectly unified being. So let's just bring it all home. This isn't about three different gods. It is one God, just as you are one person. But you might be thinking, okay, that's a clever analogy, but is that all it is? Something someone just invented centuries later? Well, not according to early theologians. They actually saw it as an ancient discovery, uncovering a truth about God that was hinted at all along. And that really reframes the whole concept, doesn't it? The Trinity wasn't something Christians just thought up out of thin air. It was something they believed they discovered right there in their own scriptures. They found clues way back in the Old Testament, in prophecies from books like Zechariah and Malachi. In these passages, God would speak of himself in the first person, I will pour out my spirit, and then refer to the coming Messiah in the third person. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, all in the same breath. This suggested a being who was both God and yet somehow distinct from God, hinting at this complex unity. So, this whole idea that the blueprint for the divine might just be found within us, it leaves us with a pretty provocative question. If we can understand one of theology's greatest mysteries just by looking inward, what else might we discover about the universe simply by better understanding ourselves?